They say how these niggas come from dirt to bad hoes and bankrolls. Over 100 shots on the E-way, I gotta make it home. I learned from my struggle, stack that dope, forget your hustle on. Go ride for your brother when he call you.
Welcome everybody to Choppin It Up, brought to you by Zapata Systems. I'm Dizz. No Los, but I might have a surprise. I did reach out to Jay-Z and George, and they might pop in, so we'll see. But it's coming down to the end of the summer, and what's around my area of the town is Little League World Series. It's down to the last 2 weeks of it, and it's pretty interesting. I stopped going to games. I think it's more enjoyable for your kids and you to go. My daughter, who's actually, this is her senior year in high school, is going into her senior year in high school. She's not into that anymore. She's into, getting ready for college, starting to apply to colleges and stuff like that. So, I know damn well she didn't get the smarts from me. She got it from her mother. But let's, also with the end of the summer starts football. Now, I was waiting to have this little conversation with Los because for the last couple weeks, I've been playing something in my head, watching some film. And I'll say it here. I wouldn't be surprised if I were the Giants. I might start Jaxson Dart. He's not a better quarterback in the sense of, IQ and stuff than Russell Wilson. He's not. Russell has seen everything. But he's young. He's athletic. He has a good IQ, and he's being coached by Dable. And that is the thing. Dable handpicked at Dart. Josh Allen was one that he wanted to work with, and he picked him. Well, he helped pick him because he was, offense coordinator. But he, developed Josh Allen. Told him which camps to go to. The quarterback camps. The Palmer brother. I forgot his first name. Hey, the year that we drafted Eli. Kurt Warner, we just signed him. He was coming off, I think he wasn't even playing. We just signed him, or he was coming off an injury. I don't remember. I'm sorry, I don't remember. But it was just a stopgap. He was only going to be there for that year. He only signed up. And what happened, he was playing okay. He wasn't playing bad, And then they were just like, look, we got to turn it over to Eli, and that's what we have to do. Can I see that happen with Russell Wilson? I think Russell Wilson has a bigger ego than Kurt Warner, but I think I would have kept Jameis. I would have never signed Russell, but I think Russell's going to be good. I just think the time for the Giants is to hand everything over to Jaxson Dart. And just go ahead. Now I know the defense is only preseason. The defense that, he saw, it's, 4 deep and stuff like that. And there's easy holes that he can pick apart. But, and he was doing screen passes. They're like, oh, he's checking down. No, he's not. That was part of the plays. I was listening to Tiki today. That was part of the plays, I honestly think he has something with him. He just has that thing. And Russell Wilson should remember when he got drafted, he wasn't going to be in, they just signed Matt Flynn to a big contract. And what happened? They drafted him, and he got the job, through preseason, outworked, showed better skills than Matt Flynn, and he got the job. And what happened? 2 Super Bowls should have been, more. But because what happened, Pete Carroll just handed it off to beast mode, and we all know what happened there. But I do think the Giants are a different team. They are a different team this year. Their defensive line. I'm telling you, I'm standing on it. Giants, top 3 defense. Let me go top 5. I'll go top 5. I'll stand on it, top 5. I was placing bets for top 3, but top 5. Top 5 defense in the league. Guaranteed. I put a couple jingles on Giants over. 5.5 is, I think they're going to win more than 5.5. Do I think they're going to make the playoffs? I think it's going to be tough because of their schedule. But if they smell the playoffs, sniff a little bit of it, I think, it's a win for the Giants. But I do think, we got to just go ahead with Jaxson Dart, see what they can do. I wanted to get Los's opinion on that. But I always said I didn't think we should have signed Russell or just have Jameis give it over because Jameis is a person you need in the locker room. He's freaking hilarious, nice guy. It's just I always, even last year, I was like, damn, I want Jameis on our team. Great locker room guy. one thing I'm seeing too is that defensive line. They're going out together. They're staying close knit together. Even at the Jets game with this past week against the Jets and the Giants. Giants whooped them, but we saw like a little chip play that got a dual Carter and stuff like that. I mean, this stuff's gonna happen, but what's the big deal? Welcome to the NFL moment. Boom, get it over with now in the preseason. So in the regular season, we'll be whopping all these people. So yeah, I think this is our year for the Giants to either shut up or to either step up or to blow everything up. I think if they don't sniff the playoffs, like if they're like 2 games away from it, if they start 0-2 with Russell Wilson, Darts in. They can beat Command. They can go 1-1 against the Commanders or the Cowboys. They can beat one of those teams. Listen, Commanders, we got to see if they can do it again. I mean, they did it 1 year in a row. They did it 1 year. We got to see if they can back it up. Usually, quarterbacks take a sophomore slump. Step back. CJ Stroud did last year. Step back a little bit. Is James Leonard's going to do the same thing? Hey, we don't know. And guess what? We have someone that might be in the studio. Let me see if I got this right. Los. Well, no, Jay-Z was here, and he was. I think he was at the gym. I thought I saw he was in, and he probably punched out. I probably did something. I don't know what I did, but he'll probably pop back in later. But there's a lot of things. What else is going on? Oh, this past weekend, UFC 319, Chimaev versus DDP. Let me tell you something, okay? What I saw, I saw 2 fighters. One had no business being in there with Chimaev. DDP had no business. He was the champion. He was, he beat Izzy. Yes, he was. But Chimaev is on another level. It's not just the shooting for one time. It's the consistently putting pressure, shooting. He just nonstop. It's 2 levels on this of wrestling, and he just nonstop going. He had him in a crucifix like the whole fight. He had control 21 minutes out of 25 minutes of the fight. I had every round 10-8 except the last round. So it was 50-41. It ended. I had a 10-9. But Chimaev is on a different level. I think he's going to be the champion for a while. So this is what I'm going to throw out there. If Chimaev is a champion for 1 to 2 years, Islam wins his next fight, moves up in weight. Could we see an Islam versus Chimaev fight in the near future? Who would you pick? That would be a tough fight. Although Chimaev is very big, Islam's big too. Islam's no joke. Islam walks around 200 pounds. I know Chimaev walks around 220. They said he's in the offseason 220 in this last card. They said that would be something. Who I want to ask? I should ask Kevin Ioli this. I should reach out to him. But I should also reach out to George about this. In a couple years, could you see an Islam Chimaev fight? And who would you get? Who would you pick? That would be crazy. Then we had Aaron Pico getting knocked out with a spinning elbow. Now this is the thing. Every fighter that comes from like Bellator or PFL into the UFC, except I think Harrison, they lose the first fight. Chandler, who else was it? Chandler, Pitbull, Aaron Pico, MVP. I think he lost the first fight too. I have to look at that. I don't know if he did, but MVP, he put a whooping on Condor this weekend too. So another thing with UFC, they just signed a big deal with Paramount Network, 7 years, $7.7 billion. So what that means is no more pay-per-view. I think this is going to take UFC to the next level. Although they act like WWE with the promotions and stuff like that behind the scenes, They always put on a good show, no matter what. Always put on a good show. You know, we're gonna get the fights. We always get the fights that we want. It might be a couple months too late. It's not like boxing 10 years too late, maybe a couple months too late, but, you know, that's what I like. And then we get to see it on live TV. You know, you got to pay the $10. I think it will go up a little bit. Max is probably $20. I think it will go up in about 2 years. But starting next year, because the contract ends out in the end of 2025, UFC will be on Paramount, streaming on Paramount and on CBS. That's where everything's going. That's what every place is going now. There's not going to be cable vision. I don't even know if cable vision, that's what I had back in the day. But then the DirecTV, Xfinity, they're not going to be on none of that stuff anymore. Even Xfinity is, you know, you can stream it. DirecTV, you can stream it. You know, if you're away from your home, you can stream it on your phone, on the channels and everything. So I just think, you know, TV is not how it used to be. And, hey, when George was down in UFC, when he was down there at with Kevin Ioli's last show, he said it was all influencers that were there. It wasn't no media. And that's what we're going into, you know. So, you know, we have UFC going to be free for everybody. No more pay-per-views. That's a great thing. So, like I said, no one is coming in to join me. Another quick show. Los, you know, his family starts school next week, and you know, they want to take a little vacation, a little vacation down to AC, try to win that money to get ready for all the fantasy football pools that he is in. But no, he will be back next week, Sunday, the 24th. I will be at Los's house as we have our, I think it's 14 years of fantasy football league we have. It's going to be a good one. You know, it's a keeper league. I didn't keep anybody. I said, F it. I'm just going to rebuild my whole team. I have the 6th pick. I'm going to probably stream just the first round. And then I'll probably stream the first round. I'm not going to, you know, make it live or anything. I'll do a quick little edit and then put it up on the channel. But then the following week, we'll break down the people that we have. You know, Jay-Z, myself, Los, Landon, Nico, AJ, you know, we all have a little fantasy league. We just had the draft last week. I think it was Sunday. We had 2 drafts back to back. So, you know, that should be interesting. A lot of smack talk is going to be on these channels this year. Jay-Z thinks that he is like the king at fantasy football. It's just that he always drafts Josh Allen and Derrick Henry. And he thinks, you know, this year's not going to be no other thing. Hey, I beat him last year, but Nico beat me out for the championship. So that's all I got to say. Los' league, very intense. That's probably the one I have to do the most work for, the most, you know, studying, because it's a keeper. You have to look at the bench. You have to look at the rookies and the people that, you know, that are just trying to be, you know, the next, whatever you want to call it. I don't know, but the next big fantasy pick, or the wire pick. But that's it. You know, thanks everybody for listening. Another short show. We will be on next week with Los to talk about our fantasy league draft. And then that's it, everybody. Thank you.
They say how these niggas come from dirt to bad hoes and bank rolls. Over 100 shots on the E-way, I gotta make it home. I learned from my struggle, stack that dope, forget your hustle on.